Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
That's the sigh of Ramadan.
Yeah.
The hard work.
Honestly. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. I can't complain. It's been good, man. We're going to talk about a lot of good things in this episode, and hopefully the viewers can learn a few different things about Itikaf and advice, I guess, general advice around, how we can be better and ensure that Ramadan wasn't a complete waste and that we take the lessons from Ramadan and we actually enter the next few months with the right energy, the right thoughts to be good Muslims, inshallah.
Inshallah. First of all, let's say Eid Mubarak to
Yes,
each
Eid Mubarak.
other and to the listeners.
Yes.
I think in terms of Ramadan,
Yeah.
how much do you think it's impacted your life at this point?
Do you know what it is? I think one thing that Ramadan taught me is that I could always still do more, and that it's quite easy to think that, this life is very, very long. I have enough time. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. But one thing Ramadan taught me was that 30 days can go quite quickly, and that you don't have much time in this dunya, let alone Ramadan. You don't have much time in this dunya, and that you actually have to, if you're making any form of ibadah, you have to make it. You have to have the intention to do it and do it as soon as possible, because you just never know when your time is done. And I think the shortness of Ramadan and how we think it's so long, but it's very, very short when you actually go through it, it's a good lesson for me moving forward into my life, thinking, okay, Taj, you can't just be complacent, hoping that tomorrow morning will come by and then you'll do this or you do that. So I think that's definitely one thing I've learned or taken, lessons I've taken from Ramadan. Yeah, I think that's probably the main one.
Yeah, wow.
What about you?
I think for me, there's a lot of things I relate to you with. I think I definitely learned that I could do a lot more than I actually do. And that applies to, for example, reading Quran.
Yeah.
Like, for me, before Ramadan, I would just read Quran when I felt like it. Do you understand? So it's like, it wasn't a part of my day or my schedule. But obviously, in Ramadan, you kind of plan yourself, I need to read this much by this much, and etc. So I think that's a good habit that I've now maintained. So now, like, I know how much I need to be reading every day, which makes all the difference.
Yeah.
I think I had a very lazy attitude. So, and this ties to planning your worship. You understand? They say like plan your day around your salah, not your salah around your day.
Yeah.
I think that applies to all sorts of ibadah.
100%.
I think another thing was night prayer is now a routine. So before, again, the night prayer was like if I woke up a bit early, or there was no real plan to it. But again, now it's like, no, you actually want to make an effort. I think the biggest thing I came out from Ramadan is basically you have to plan.
Yeah.
You understand? And you plan with everything else. You plan your career, you plan your workouts in the gym, you work out your marriage, the finances, everything. So why don't we have that same attitude to your religion or your relationship with Allah? So basically don't do things when you feel like it, but basically have discipline in terms of your worship. I think that's the biggest thing I came out from in Ramadan.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point. I think for me as well, that's actually really, really good. Because a lot of the times when you don't have a plan, it's so easy to fall into other things.
That's so true.
And it's, the Shaytan loves a man who doesn't have a plan, because there's a lot more gaps in the room. I remember Abu Saif said this one time that, you have to keep busy. Busyness, it might make you tired, it might make you frustrated or whatever. But at the end of the day, that busyness keeps you away from a lot of bad things. And if you are planning your salah, so when you leave your house, I'm going to go here and do this, but I have to make sure I'm at this location so I can pray my salah. It makes life a lot easier for you. Your ibadah doesn't feel like cumbersome. It feels like, okay, I know I'm doing this and this, and everything else fits around it. And it's the right attitude, because then you put you prioritize it, you show that you care. If you're just turning up and saying, Asr, okay, whatever. Yeah. And sometimes it can be like that. Sometimes life is just, I'm not saying you have to plan every second of every day, because sometimes life happens, isn't it? But for the best part of your day, you should try to do exactly what you said. Yeah. If you're going out, know you're going to pray dhuhr at this time, and know that, you have to be home by this time, or wherever it may be.
Or be prepared to pray outside wherever you are.
Exactly.
Because that was something that I used to do a lot. Where I'd miss a prayer, especially when I'm out with my friends, or I'm at someone's house, and it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Really and truly, it's like you have to reflect and be like, you know what? It's not good enough to just say, I'm going to pray it when I get home. It's really not. When that time comes, You need to pray.
It's so easy to make excuses. Oh, I'm out with my friends. What could I have done?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm eating now. What can I have done?
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Nah,
At
there's...
the end of the day, we're going to all answer to Allah.
Yes.
And some excuses are just not going to happen. The excuses are given.
Yeah.
But that is not an excuse.
Yeah.
So,
you know, one thing I would say as well, I think it's important to give another man the credit he deserves. 'Cause I think, honestly, I've seen a massive change in you. I think when I look at you in Ramadan, it's, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, I've been so proud that your whole attitude, and I know we're going to get to Itikaf and things like that, and inshallah, you know, the viewers will be able to see what I'm saying right now. Like, may Allah bless you, because I've seen some big changes. And and I think, yeah, I'm very proud compared to where we were start of Ramadan, and what you said you wanted to have done and accomplish. You know, inshallah, it looks like you have, and I'm very proud.
You know how to respond. May bless you, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I think Itikaf changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I feel like there's certain things in your life that you don't choose, but it chooses you. And Itikaf was one of those.
Yeah.
Just in terms of
one thing as well, like if someone was a reaver and they don't know what Itikaf is, how would you?
So Itikaf is basically when you spend time in seclusion. But the Itikaf that I was mentioning was when you spend time in seclusion in the last 10 nights of Ramadan in the masjid, and you don't leave for anything.
Yes.
Basically, unless you have to.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique experience. It was my first time. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know much about it. Like, I remember there was a lot of questions I had going into it. I was like, how is this going to work? You know, how am I going to shower? How am I going to... All this stuff. But obviously, there's you can do it. But yeah, going in, like I was mentioning, in terms of Itikaf, like, I didn't choose Itikaf. Even like 2 days before, I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. But I kind of just got the call. They said there's a space, and I said, okay, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And it's funny, actually, on my way out, I was going to drive there. On my way out, someone actually got stabbed on my street the night before. So what happened was, it was like, first of all, it was a bit of a reminder. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like Allah's like, let me put him in the right mindset before he goes. So I'm trying to go out now, and I'm trying to drive out, and the police have basically blocked off the whole area.
Yeah.
So I couldn't leave. They said you can't leave. They said you can walk out, but you can't drive out because your car is like still can be used as evidence or something. Yeah. So I'm thinking, how am I gonna go? Anyway, I ended up getting a cab, and it's like an hour away, and then it's so weird, you know. Like sometimes, like Allah sends you signs.
Yeah. On my way
there, I was just thinking, and I was just making dua, and I'm just thinking, like, wow, I'm actually gonna go for 10 days. And then I was like, I don't know, I made dua. I forgot what the dua was, but I remember writing it down in my notes. I was like, Allah, like, just send me a sign, like. And then I remember as soon as I said that, I went past a graveyard. That was 2 death reminders.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like as soon as I said it, I just went for it, and then I was looking at the graves, and I was like, wow, that's basically us. In God knows how many years. Yeah. Anyway, I turn up, and I'm just sitting in the masjid now. I'm waiting for, obviously, it's a masjid I've never been to before.
Right.
Anyway, the imam came, and I started speaking to him, and then you kind of set up and everything. In terms of Itikaf as an experience,
right,
it's very interesting because you genuinely do break free from dunya, and you don't care. And one thing that I've done with my phone was, there's something called, on iPhone, there's something called downtime.
Yes. Yep.
And basically you lock all your apps. And basically I've done it with my phone, where I locked all the apps. All I was allowed was like calls, WhatsApp. Yeah. Just that was it, and YouTube. And yeah, that was very interesting because like I'm fully cut from the world, and everything, because you're in a masjid, everything is about Allah. Yeah. All the conversations you have is about Allah. Like you hear the adhan obviously 5 times a day, which we don't have in the UK.
Makes sense.
So it's like beautiful. You're praying long hours because obviously you're praying your daily prayer. Then you pray tarawih, then the night prayer. It was just, you can't describe it. Yeah.
Another thing is where you pray sunnah and it's like nothing, isn't it? Cause I know when you go to the masjid, even when you're doing tarawih or whatever, you're praying isha at the masjid, you know, you do your 2 rak'ah after. It's not even like your 4 rak'ah anyway. You do it after isha as if it's nothing. It's almost like part of it. No one even bats an eye. It's like, it's expectations.
Literally.
But if you're at home, it's 4 man matter way, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even when you go to the masjid to pray your fard, I normally go pray my sunnah at home. Right? But over there, obviously, you don't get to go back home.
Yeah. That is sunnah, to be fair, though.
Yeah. It is. But it's beautiful, honestly. Like for example, we would sleep after Fajr, but then we would wake up to the call of Dhuhr. And there's just something about waking up to that adhan.
Yeah.
You can't describe it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's so easy to wake up as well. Like, normally I have a hard time waking up. But when you hear that adhan and you know, like, it's not an option. Do you understand? You have to get up. It's not like waking up to work. It's like, I want to get up and pray.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You'd wake up, you make your wudu. Another thing is wudu. Obviously, you've got the wudu facilities. And it's just easy.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can make wudu as many times as you want.
Yeah.
There's no, like,
It's not
I need to
burden.
keep my wudu or nothing
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Bro, like, it's just beautiful. So one thing that I actually learned in Itikaf is to actually enjoy your wudu.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's an act of worship. For me, it was more like, I don't want to say burden, but it was more like, I'll get out of the way so I can do my prayer.
Yeah.
And I still love the prayer.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's like, no, enjoy your wudu. Like, genuinely, like, why make it a burden for yourself? Take your time with it. And obviously, when you're here, like, you know, like imagining the wiping of the sins, as that made a big difference.
Yes.
I think, like, yeah.
That's a good point.
Definitely.
I think, I remember there's so many times where it's almost like a competition people have. Like, how long can you hold your wudu from?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to hold it from Fajr to Isha.
Yeah.
But nah, okay, fair enough, you have.
Yeah.
Well done, you won the competition. But ultimately, if you are having that moment to actually connect with Allah, you know, and you know, we all know what the Prophet said, peace be upon him, around, you know, if you make the wudu properly and then you say a certain, I can't remember what it's called, I can't remember the full thing, but it's essentially just a shahada, essentially.
Yeah, sure.
Your sins are all forgiven, you know, the minor ones. And when you hear that, you have to take care of your wudu. You want to make sure you get even the ankle, you want to make sure you get all the way up to the elbow, you know, all these little things. And yeah, like you said, it's an act of worship.
Yeah.
And one thing you said that I want you to kind of talk about a bit more was your sleep schedule when you were doing itikaf. I remember you were saying to me, it completely threw you off. And even now, you're still trying to find your feet a bit.
Yeah, literally. The sleep schedule during Itikaf was, obviously you pray the Qiyam al-Layl.
Yes.
So there's no point of sleeping like after Tarawih. You just stay up until Qiyam al-Layl. You pray Qiyam al-Layl. Then you have Suhoor, Fajr. Then you stay up until sunrise.
Right.
Then you pray your 2 rak'ah.
Duha.
So Duha or Ishraq. And then you go sleep. So I was sleeping at like 8 o'clock.
Right.
And then we sleep until Dhuhr, which was a few hours. So it's not enough.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours or so.
So wake up and, you know, pray Dhuhr, pray your Sunnah, everything. Maybe sit and talk to some brothers. Then you go and sleep again until Asr. And then after Asr, you stay up.
Yeah.
Or if you stayed up until Asr, you sleep from Asr to Maghrib.
I see.
You understand? And then maybe wake up like 15, 20 minutes before Maghrib. And then that way you can do your dua, last dua, and you can kind of help set up the masjid.
Okay.
Iftar at the masjid was nice. Obviously, you have all the brothers. Itikaf, the group of Itikaf had a separate area. And it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice just eating with brothers. Like, I would definitely recommend. It's a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
The people you meet, the people you get to speak with, the conversations you have. I mean, the amount of amazing conversation I had, the amount of advice I've got from people is amazing. Amazing. And these are people who have been through what we're going to go through.
Inshallah, yeah.
So, yeah, you meet some amazing brothers, you make some amazing friends.
You know, one thing you said that's interesting as well is like the importance of brotherhood and being around the right people. Because another thing as well is sometimes when you're by yourself, and I remember when I first reverted and I went down to university, I didn't have brothers around me. Like you said, you get that advice, you get that those really good conversations that help to affirm your belief and kind of affirm the fact that you want to worship Allah, you want to do right by his prophet. And I think that when you have those brothers around you, it kind of, obviously we're not praying for them, we're not praying because they're there, but it's an extra level of accountability that, wait, they're praying, they're doing an extra 2 rak'ah, they're reading an extra page of Quran, why am I doing that? And it kind of pushes you to want to be better. And I remember we said this a few episodes back, where it's, you have to take care of who's in your circle and who your close friends are, for those who don't understand that reference. But yes, I think that itikaf, that's a good lesson out of that is, you know, being amongst the right people, but not just people who are on your level spiritually. I know that might sound a little bit arrogant, I guess, but being around people who are better than you, who are where you want to be, it pushes you to be better.
100%.
Yeah.
And everyone there was better than me.
SubhanAllah.
May Allah bless them.
Yeah, I mean,
but you see levels.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's why having friends like that is good, because they drag you to them.
Yes.
You understand? They drag you to their level. And it's hard for you to drag them to your level. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because you both want good for each other.
Yes.
It's not like, I feel like when you have bad friends, it's the opposite. You understand? You get dragged to them. But in this instance, because you both want good, you get dragged to them. It's a very unique thing.
Yeah.
Um,
So what advice, like, for someone who wants to do Itikaf next year,
Mm.
like, what advice would you give to them so that they are best prepared to actually start 10th night, they're ready, the first night of the 10 nights, they're ready to enter that masjid?
I would say obviously clear your schedule for it,
Mhm.
plan it. If you're working, take your holidays in that time. That's number one. You have to have a clear schedule. Number two is speak to your masjid early. Don't leave it to the last minute because it gets booked out. You have to book it. Some masjids, I mean, they have huge demand, so you have to book months in advance. So I'd say, you know, if you're thinking about it, maybe speak to your man from now and say, look, I want to do Itikaf next year. They're probably going to say, yeah, you're just too early and whatever. But at least you kind of put it there.
Yeah.
Then as Ramadan gets closer, you can speak to them and say, yeah, can I put my name forward now? Or they will say whatever. They'll say, yeah, wait for the applications.
Yeah.
But you put your name forward so that when it comes, you're there.
Show that intention.
In terms of preparing for it, in terms of like actually preparing when you go, obviously, one thing is you're sleeping in the masjid.
Yeah.
So you're not in the comfort of your bed anymore. That was a struggle. So you need a sleeping bag and you need maybe something comfortable underneath. So just be prepared for that. I remember there was a brother, he didn't have nothing. He was just sleeping on the floor. Oh, that was so funny. But yeah, I'd say that. I'd say obviously bring like essentials like a toothbrush, towel, whatever, creams, oils, shampoo, whatever you need, bring it. You understand? You know. Other than that, you know, you basically prepare as if you're on a trip.
Yeah.
You understand? As if you're going to a hotel. What would you take? Take that.
Right.
Another thing I'd say is plan your ibadah. Again, you have to. And that's what I done. On my way there, I was just saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to memorize this much. I want to read this much.
Yep.
You know, this is like, I was even writing how many hours I want to pray in a day. I was calculating. I was like, okay, the daily prayer, this is how long it is. Okay, Tarawih, this is how long it is. This is how long Qiyam Layl is. And I was like, okay, I want to pray this many hours. So I need to pray an extra 3 hours. Just myself. You understand?
Yeah.
But if you don't have that conscious thought, again, when you're there,
time can,
and you're just sitting around, you know, you don't know how much you should pray, and don't leave it to when you feel like it. Understand? So really plan it out. Even when I went there, the Imam said, look, if you don't have a plan, then what are you doing?
Right.
Like, he said it himself. And I was like, I'm glad I planned that.
That's good advice, yeah.
But yeah, that's it really.
So it's quite a low, obviously it's a very intensive thing, but it's still kind of, like with most things in this religion, it's low level. It's not really like a high boundary to entry. It's anyone can come in and do it.
Go. You can revert and come the next day. It's like them ones.
Yeah.
It's not like there's not like a pre-crime on anything.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is it changes the way you think about the world.
Right.
When you're there for 10 days, when it comes towards the end, you kind of think like, I don't want to go back into the world. You really don't. Because part of me was like, I can't wait to get back. But then part of me was like, I can't wait to, like, I don't want to get back into and meeting bad people and stuff like that. Like even the other day when me and you was outside my car. I'll just tell the story. I was outside my car and was looking for a prayer mat.
Yeah.
And then some guy was like right next to us, parked up, and he comes out his car and he's saying, this is the worst drug deal I've ever seen. Basically accusing us of drug dealing.
Could we had the boot open.
Yeah. And I was so disturbed.
Yeah.
And immediately Itikaf came to my mind. I was like, I would never have to deal with this rubbish.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. Or even going to the gym and hearing music playing in the background.
That was the first time I heard music.
Yeah.
After coming out of Itikaf.
Man.
That's another thing. And you have no control of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot where like when I came back, it was weird. When I first went in my bed, I remember the night I came and I slept in my bed. When I woke up, I still thought I was at the masjid.
Right.
When I woke up and I saw my room, I was shocked for a second. I was like, where am I? I was like, oh, I'm at home.
Yeah.
It was that weird.
That's mad.
My sleep schedule is not ruined because alhamdulillah, but it's changed. And that's why I'm saying it's good. It changes your life.
Yeah.
It makes things easier. Like now, like coming out of it, I know how much I need to read every day.
Yes.
I can wake up for the Qiyam Layl because it's now built into me.
Yeah.
It's like a camp. You kind of build the habits that you kind of take forward with you. And for me now, it's just a battle of not losing it.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But,
that's too brilliant. Yeah. I guess it's almost like when you come out there like a newborn baby.
100%.
And it's like, I remember when I first reverted, I remember I said to you, it was the first time in my life when I really started to see the evil that was in this world. And I feel like that's kind of what you felt when you come out of Itikaf. It's 100%. Like you're in this beautiful place, almost Jannah-like. Of course, nothing's like Jannah, but it's almost like the best version you can get in this dunya.
Literally.
And you know, you come out and then you look around and you see all these different things and you're like,
you see the rubbish. I remember I was at the masjid. There was a brother who wasn't doing Itikaf, and I remember he came to me and he asked me how many days we have left and stuff. And I was like, we had 2 days or something. And I mentioned to him, I was like, I don't want to go back out in the world. He's like, bro, you don't want to go back out. And he was like, the weather's getting warmer and the things I'm seeing, he's like, how old are we? Like, it was so funny. And it's true. You come out and you see things, you hear things.
Yeah.
It will change your personality. It's just bound to happen. After 10 days of worship and being around good people, having good conversations, you come out a bit calmer. But I see myself slipping back. Do you understand? Because it's just like you're not in the same.
Yeah.
You're not in the same atmosphere.
It makes sense that I think that's like with Ramadan overall as well, because most times when you're fasting, you are a little bit more reserved. Yeah. You can't really speak. Your throat's a little bit dry. Your mouth is dry. And I guess when you're in that environment with all that ibadah, you're just softened. Your heart is softened. Yeah, so your attitude, your behavior is softened, even the way you speak.
And you never get angry there.
Yeah, you don't have a reason to.
And you never get upset. Because what's going to upset you?
That's a good point.
Like, how do you get upset in a masjid? Yeah. You don't argue with people. You're not doing some sort of business or interaction.
Yeah.
Any interaction I have with people is beautiful anyway. One thing I'll say is, like, I really liked this culture in the masjid where, like, brothers would just make circles and you just speak. It just happens naturally. Yeah. Like, for example, after the salah, maybe it's me and my brother, then another brother comes, and then as brothers are walking by, they come and sit. Or we call them, or we say, yeah, come sit, have a chat.
Yeah.
And just that brotherhood is amazing. I've never had an experience like that yet. And just seeing it was so beautiful. You meet new people and like
it's so quick and easy.
Those circles, I'm telling you, like the conversation you have in those circles are gems.
Do you know it's funny because a lot of like non-Muslims speak about this a lot around men not having like communities or like circles to have conversations and talk about things. And the Muslim, I mean, us Muslims, we have that a lot of times we don't tap into it.
100%.
So there's a lot of lessons from that. I can imagine going there as a man. You can open up because these are your brothers, and they'll give you advice in line and in accordance with Islam.
That's amazing.
It's so too brilliant.
It's so true. Because people would give you advice, but is it the best advice?
Yeah.
Especially when you get advice from a non-Muslim. It's like they only care about, if they care about you, they only care about your dunya.
Yes.
But the advice you get from brothers in the masjid is deep.
Deep, yeah.
Deep advice.
It hits a core. Yeah.
So we can speak about moving forward.
Yeah.
In terms of post-Ramadan.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, like, I think it's normal to expect a dip after Ramadan.
Yeah.
In terms of Iman. It's like, I don't think, because I remember thinking, no, I can't let it dip at all.
Yes.
I have to maintain it. But realistically, it's going to dip.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just about slowing it down to
a baseline.
To a baseline. That should be higher than before Ramadan.
Yes.
And I think, again, this is something I learned in Itikaf. I think your acts of worship, especially your salah, I think the more you rush it, the more attention you don't give it, the more of a burden it becomes on you. Like when the prayer time comes and you want to pray and you want to actually go and you're going to take your time in the salah and you make sure you lay your mat down and you dress good, you understand? You set aside that time. You know you're not in a rush. You understand? So even when you're reciting slow, recite the surahs you actually like, the ones you know the meanings for, all this stuff. When you do it, it becomes so easy. Whereas if you rush it and you think, I just need to get out of the way, you're just making it harder for yourself.
Yeah.
It's actually easier
to take your time. Yes. SubhanAllah. Yeah. Another thing as well is that I remember reading about when you are praying your salah and when it comes to not rushing it, every single movement you do, you should do it before you commit to that movement, going from ruku' to stand up again to then going to sujood and stand up again. Every moment you should actually find peace before you make that movement. So when you go into sujood, don't just say what you have to say quickly. No, take a moment to take a breath that you're in sujood now and then start saying what you have to say.
That's true.
And then when you're about to say, when you get up again and you're coming into ruku', be in that position. Put your hands on your knees when you're in the position and straighten your back and think, okay, I'm in ruku'. Take a deep breath and then say what you have to say. Don't go into, some people, it's like you're doing head, shoulders, knees and toes. Literally, that's what it looks like. You know what I mean?
That's very true. And for me, I think this is something that I've had to learn, is that the ruku', I used to think sajda is the most important.
Yes.
But the ruku' is also...
very right.
Everything is important. Your standing is important, your ruku' is important, your sitting is important. So I used to think, let me make my sajda long.
Yes.
But make your ruku' long as well.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So 100% I agree with you in terms of give every movement of the prayer its rights.
Yes.
Even
100%.
if you raise your hand after rising from ruku', do it properly.
Yes.
You know the man that just go...
Yeah.
No, bro.
Yeah.
So, like, do
It's
properly.
true. Even the when you're going between the movements, I think it's called takbir movement. When you're saying Allahu Akbar, that should last the duration of that movement, of moving from one position to another position.
You mean the takbir itself?
Yes. So when you're saying Allahu Akbar, let's say you're going from standing to sujood, you shouldn't just rush it and go Allahu Akbar and run into it as if it's a race. No, it's be Allahu Akbar and moving slowly. It's like a nice smooth motion into it. Then you find peace there
100%.
and you relax. Because if you are speeding through things, it's not going to be beautiful, you know? And nothing you said about like what you're reciting, how you recite it. I remember I was reading about something else around, you know, when you are praying, even if you're praying by yourself, you're leading salah for all the angels, you know? And imagine you're leading this salah. If you're leading your salah for your friend, you would act, you know, everyone knows when you're leading salah for your friends, you not that you do more effort, but you try to make sure
it's perfect.
Make sure it's perfect. But every single time you pray your salah, there's angels behind you. Another thing I even heard as well is that because the angels love the sound of the Quran, one even comes so close to you so they can get as close to your mouth as possible so that they can even just feel that Quran, the ayahs and the beautiful words that Allah's put across. And when you really think about that, it then makes you realize, you know, I need to actually show respect to this Quran. I'm leading salah. You know, the angel wants me to recite it beautifully. And that comes down to even making sure you brush your teeth is fresh, so that when you're praying, you know, all these little things, like you said, smelling good. It's about making sure you give the salah the respect it deserves. Because at the end of the day, although it's an obligation, it's a benefit to us. So make sure you make use of that blessing.
That's so true. It's so true, that point you made about the angels. Because it's so easy for you to think I'm alone, you know, it's just between me and Allah, let me just quickly. But not really. And at the end of the day, Allah's watching you and you're standing before Allah.
Exactly.
So 100%, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
Another thing actually is in the masjid, you see a different type of love between brothers.
Right.
And I've seen it, obviously, I've been masjid here and there.
Yeah.
But growing up in the West, like saying I love you to your brother is a bit taboo. But in Islam, it's like saying I love you for the sake of Allah is
it's almost expected.
Yeah, it's praiseworthy. And I remember like just being, that's why I said being around it, it's hard to put into words.
Right.
Like I saw brothers kissing each other. Now, obviously they're not kissing their face and stuff, but they were kissing the shoulder.
Yeah.
And like they were hugging and embracing, and you could see the love between them. You understand? It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And it's like, it's so beautiful to see the way the religion brings people together.
Yeah.
Puts that love in each other's hearts. I mean, there were people that I was just meeting and I loved them more than people I knew for years.
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
Years. So yeah.
It's too true. That's actually amazing. It's so true. There's so many times I've gone to the masjid. I remember when I reverted, and when the moment I finished saying, like, you know, saying the shahada, everyone was coming to me, hugging me, giving me gifts. I was shocked. I was like, what? You guys don't even know me from anywhere. Little kids coming to me happy, you know, as if I'm their father or something. Like, I was like, wow, like, subhanAllah. And I've seen it over the years in the masjids, and I can only imagine being and living with brothers, and you get to have that undisturbed contact with them.
Even the way you share your food with each other,
SubhanAllah.
like breaking your food.
Yeah,
I remember I had this one moment with a brother. I had sweets. And I gave it out, and he got the biggest one. He's like, "No, it's yours. You get it." And I said, "No." I gave it to him. Then he threw it at me and ran. And then he came back and sat, and I bit into it.
Yeah.
I bit half of it, and then I was like, I'm not gonna eat the rest of it until you eat it. And then I was like, because basically we argued about it.
Yeah.
He threw at me and ran. Then he came back and sat. I bit half of it, and I gave him half of it back. And then he said, "Okay, I'll eat it just for you."
SubhanAllah.
It was such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
So
about.
those little moments.
Yeah, it was honestly beautiful moments like that. Or even like holding each other's face for salah. Something so small.
Yeah.
Something so small. But I know this brother wants to make it to the front line.
Yes.
And he knows I want to make it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm holding each other's foot.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a different type of love.
Yeah. Do you know, I always wondered why is it that we have such a strong love for Muslims? I always see a Muslim and I say Assalamu alaikum, and the moment they say wa alaikum salam, I'm like, oh, that's my guy, and I love you so much. And I wonder why. And a lot of it for me, and you can tell me what you think as well, is I know what struggles that guy's going through as a Muslim. That I know that we're all trying to go to the same place. And I know that on a day-to-day, every day is a struggle for us. And the fact that you're there, you're smiling at me, and, you know, I just feel like because we're suffering together, I know that I'm happy. I just love the fact that we're together in this.
That's true. I think you're both tied. You're both tied together by the belief.
Yes.
As well.
And the purpose.
And I think you know he's a good person.
Yes.
You understand? There's a different type of trust you have with them.
Mm.
Another thing I'll say is, on the day of judgment, everyone will be enemies to each other except the believers. I think that's something that plays a big part.
Yes.
Because like this guy will bear witness for you.
Yes.
Not against you.
Yes.
Whereas there's some people like, obviously, if they're non-Muslim, they're your enemies.
Yeah.
Your enemies.
SubhanAllah.
So knowing that we will all one day reunite.
Yes.
In Jannah.
Inshallah. And that's so beautiful. Even knowing that, may Allah protect us from it. But if any of us was to go to Jahannam, and your brothers, if you've been with them, they'll be asking Allah for you. And your favorite friend, the person that you went to the masjid with or whatever you did with, they could be testifying, asking for you because their Jannah is not complete until you're there. So it's so that's why it's so good to have that brotherhood and push each other. Because you just never know. Allah knows best who's going to be the one who makes it to that special place, and I think it's so important.
That's true. Another thing is, in terms of how you act in general.
Yes.
In the masjid, there's a certain way you act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you can't be loud.
Yeah.
Can't laugh too loud.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can't swear. You can't backbite. You can't say anything bad. And Itikaf gives you that opportunity. It's like that training ground. So one thing that I was very bad with was swearing. But having those 10 days where you're not even thinking about swearing.
Yeah, yeah.
And genuinely, I think after coming out of Itikaf, I think I only swore once.
Yes.
Which I'm so proud of. That's good for me. I used to swear a lot. So things like that, or for example, and I think one thing I learned is basically carry yourself in life as if you're in a masjid. Or as if you're in salah, or as if you're in a circle of brothers. You understand?
Like a shyness.
Yeah. So always carry yourself to a standard that you hold for yourself. And yeah, that way, you would never speak about bad things. You would never backbite. You'd always fear to backbite people or just to speak about rubbish, like idle talk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Getting your mindset right is so important.
Yeah. It's so true. I think sometimes we look at religion as like a second thought. And it's like, we put it on the back burner. It's like, I've said my shahada. Like, that's it. Yeah. But it should be at the forefront of your mind. I know it's easy for us to say because I'm still struggling with it. I need to do better in that regard as well. But having the religion at the front of your mind every single day, appreciating the blessing. Because look, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this podcast, 9 times out of 10, you're probably a Muslim. And I think if you are a Muslim, you have to understand that Allah has chosen you, and that's a special right that's not given to everyone else. And I think when you really start to internalize the fact that you are a Muslim, and inshallah you're on the straight path, that you need to act as if you have that honor. And everything you do has to be for a certain level of, not pride, but honor. The fact that Allah has blessed you with this. So you have to speak correctly. You have to behave as if you are a Muslim. Same way royalty wouldn't walk around the road and behave a certain way. You are royalty, And on the day of judgment, you will be seen to be the ones who are the bright light, inshallah.
That's true. That's very true. At the end of the day, as a Muslim, you're representing something. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So what would you say, moving, I know you said that, a dip in Iman, a dip in that feeling is going to happen regardless of who you are, after Ramadan. So what would you say to someone who's a little bit wary of that?
I think when you expect it, when you're expecting the dip, you can catch it.
Right.
So do you understand? Don't be unrealistic with yourself and say, yeah, I'm going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're going to have a dip whether you like it or not. I felt it.
Yeah.
I tried to play with mind tricks with myself and say, yeah, I'm going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You'll have a dip in a man, but it's just about catching it. And I would say, don't ever get complacent with it. Do you understand? I remember I missed one of my sunnah prayers and I was like, it's fine, it's just sunnah. No.
Yes.
It's not fine.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Go pray your sunnah.
Yeah.
Or make sure you make it up or whatever. So it's like, don't get complacent. And as your iman dips, you're going to start making more mistakes. You might not read as much Quran, but keep yourself in check. You understand? Don't let it just fall and fall and fall and fall. So I've set a minimum myself in terms of how much I want to read now.
Yes.
You understand? Or for example, I said, okay, I'm going to pray my sunnah and there's no, what's it called? Like, I'm never going to be lenient towards my sunnah. It's like, that's it. Sunnah's being prayed as if it's fard.
Yes.
So set minimums for yourself and don't fall beyond them. And don't make them too unrealistic as well. Like, don't say you're going to read like 10 juz a day. You understand?
Yeah.
Because you're just going to break yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
It's a good point. I like that, actually.
What would you say? Is there anything you would say?
Do you know, is most of the things I would say would echo what you said. I think it's just being realistic with yourself and understanding that it's going to happen. And a lot of times people fall into the trap of feeling very, very guilty and almost, and the Shaytan loves that. He loves the fact
so
that,
true.
You start, I was this in Ramadan, I was doing this during Ramadan. Of course you were. It was a perfect situation that the Shaytan was locked up. Of course you were. But the Shaytan will say to you, look, you used to do this, now you're not doing this. And then slowly he starts to eat away at you, and then you fall off the path, and you start feeling really, really bad, and you're hoping. And like you said, it's about being realistic. Understand that this is going to happen, and plan your day out. If you plan it, then you kind of you don't allow yourself to fall away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's such an important point. One thing I would say, and I know I was going to speak about this anyway, one thing I would like to say anyway, is that I think leaving Ramadan, we have to understand that the Shaytan has been released. He's out there. He's out and he's happy, he's having fun again. And I think it's so important for all of us to really internalize the fact that we're at war. And I think a lot of times as Muslims, and I'm victim of this as well, is that we think that this enemy that Allah said that is our enemy, it's just, whatever. It's just a guy. No, you have to treat him like a true enemy. And if your enemy was standing in front of you every single day, your mindset will be very different. Of course, we can't see Iblis. But why I say that you need to internalize the fact that you're at war with the Shaytan is because it changes the way you approach your day. Every single time you wake up, you need to be thinking about two things. You think about defense and attack. And I know anyone who does any sort of combat, any sort of sport will tell you, you have to be able to manage both sides of that spectrum, defending and attacking. Now, how does this look like in Islam on your day-to-day basis? So if you look at your defensive moves, because now we're talking war. Right? Your defensive moves are staying away from sin, major sins, minor sins. And for all those who do that, great. That's amazing. But one thing I would say, you can't just be defending against the Shaytan all the time. He loves when you're just defending. And although Allah will bless you and give you good deeds for if you stay away from bad, the Shaytan will come. He'll keep coming. He'll keep knocking. And at some point, he will get through. And even to the best of us, he will get through. So what do we say? The best form of defense is attack. So you have to attack him. And your attacking is praying your salah, doing your sunnah, reading your Quran, doing your dhikr. Allah's given us so many tools to attack the Shaytan. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't like to be hit. And you want to be amongst those people. And I pray that we are amongst those people who the Shaytan is scared to come near us. And how we do that is by making sure that we're constantly attacking him. We have to. Because if we don't, he'll keep coming, he'll have fun, and he will really start to laugh at us, and we don't want that.
Wow.
So I think that's
a good point.
It's so important. You have to internalize this war. Allah says it so many times in the Quran that truly he is insan's enemies. Yes, exactly.
And he promised you that he's your enemy.
It's a promise.
The crazy thing. It's like, first of all, Allah told you that's sufficient. But Shaytan himself told you he's coming for you.
He's coming.
So it's like, how can you ever be relaxed?
Yeah.
How can you ever... But I think you made a very good point. I think everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone kind of realizes, oh yeah, when I'm practicing or when I'm making efforts is the time that I stay away from sin the most. So that offense and defense is such a good analogy.
Yeah,
I think
it's so important.
Brilliant. And yeah, you're actually right. Even in sport, like you mentioned, like the best defense is always offense.
Yes.
Because if you just let someone just attack you, I mean, like you said, as a boxer, you can't just cover up and just take shots all day.
At some point.
Yeah, and it's not even just about defense. Like, you need to win life. You understand? It's not just about not losing. It's not just about not going Jahannam, but getting the highest ranks of Jannah.
Yes, that's a good point.
So, such a good attitude, such a good mindset that you attack your attack your day.
Yes,
with ibadah.
Yes.
Wow, very good point.
It's such a good point. I remember when I first thought about it, and I was like, yeah, it's so true. And so many times you go through your day and you just think, oh, whatever, I got my job, I do this, I do that. The Shaytan loves you when you're lapse minded, because he can come in and he'll play around, and it's almost like the analogy I gave last episode when I was saying about your heart is like a home.
Yeah.
If you're lap minded and you're not planning out your day, it's like your front door's open.
Yeah.
So he'll come in whenever he wants. But if you know he's there, trust me, you barricade it like zombies.
So true.
You know what I mean?
I just need it.
But yeah,
too many Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, I need to stop. But yeah, I think that's probably a good advice I would say to people coming out of Ramadan. Just understand that your enemy's out there, and just treat him like it. You have to treat him like your enemy.
Another thing that I learned the other day was, in terms of your mindset, was always imagine that there's a version of you that's better than you. Yeah. So imagine there's a version of Taj.
Yes.
That not only praises Fard, but praises Sunnah. That not only praises Sunnah, but praises Qiyamul Layl.
Yes.
You understand? That reads 3 juz, 5 juz, 6 juz a day. Reads the Quran every 7 days. You understand? He's doing it.
Yes.
He's doing it, and he's beating you.
Yeah.
He's showing to Allah that he's better than you. And always have that mindset, like, make it competitive with yourself.
Right.
Do you understand? So maybe you can compete with the Ramadan version of yourself. Or make a version of yourself that's just better than you. That they're just better. their ibadah is better. Their relationship with their family is better. They give more sadaqah. They trust Allah more with all their affairs. Always try and compete with the best version of yourself.
Yes.
And that will kind of motivate you. I think that was very good for me, because I was like, like it might be 2 a.m. and I'm like, do I really want to wake up? I'm like, that Ferhat would have waken up. No
Easy.
Problem. He gets up and makes his wudu, and he's already praying, and you're still thinking if you want to get up and pray. So in my head, I'm very competitive.
Yes.
So I'm like, no, get up.
Yeah.
And I do what that guy would have done. It's very good.
It's a very, very good point. And plus, it kind of protects you from, looking at other people and thinking that you're not doing good enough.
Yeah, you're comparing yourself to the best version of yourself.
Yes.
Instead of looking at people, who, maybe further ahead from you, but they started from somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
That's good advice. Very, very good advice. I think, look, at the end of the day, Ramadan is a special month. Ramadan is it's all right, bro. Ramadan is a very, very special month. And I think that we have to accept that certain things happen in that month that can't necessarily be replicated outside of it. And I think once you internalize that and you understand that, you have to have a different approach to outside of Ramadan. Look, the Shaytan wasn't there. So you have to treat things very, very differently. Whereas, during Ramadan, when you were waking up for Fajr and you're waking up for, doing your Qiyam al-Layl or whatever it may be, the Shaytan wasn't a factor in that.
Yeah.
Now he is. So Allah's blessed you with the month so that you can know that you can do these things. You can stay away from the haram. So now you have to put it into practice. The only difference now is you got the Shaytan on your back trying to move you away.
You know what's funny as well? In Ramadan, like, you think, okay, Shaytan's locked up. But then you realize you're still falling into sin.
Yes.
You kind of really question yourself. Like, maybe I'm the problem here.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm the problem here. You understand? So it's really good. I really like Ramadan in that sense. It's like, it kind of puts you in check. Because it's a battle against Shaytan, but it's a battle against your nafs as well.
Yes.
And your nafs is your own enemy as well.
Yes, 100%.
So it's the same attitude. You have to fight your nafs. I think there was a lot like that. There was a lot of things where I realized I have no excuse.
Yes.
I have no excuse.
One other thing I would say as well is, like, I remember I was thinking about this the other day. I was reading Fatiha, and we all know Fatiha, and one of the ayahs says Sirat al-Mustaqim, isn't it? The straight path, you ask Allah to guide you on the straight path. I was thinking, in the Quran, Allah always talks about the straight path. This deen is the straight path, but He never says it's going to be a smooth path. So one thing I would say is to people when you're leaving this month of Ramadan is, look, there's going to be bumpy times, but so long as you're on that straight path, that's all right. Yeah. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's going to be bumpy. Allah never promised you it's going to be easy. Yeah. He never promised you. If He did, it would have been easy. But He said He's on a straight path, and that straight path is going to have bumps. And that straight path, there'll be times where the Shaytan wants to push you here, and he might hit you there. But so long as you're staying on that straight path and you make sure that you're doing what you know to be right, and what Allah said is it's right as well, that's what matters. And I think that's so, so important.
You know what's the worst as well? Yeah. Who's waiting for you on that straight path? Shaytan himself.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting. I found this very interesting. It's like Shaytan, he's on the path of the righteous people. Like, in terms of, like, he's coming to attack you.
Yes.
In terms of, if he was a kafir and you did shirk,
yes,
and you did evil things, he wouldn't even bother.
Yeah, he wouldn't bother. He's won.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I already got him.
Yeah.
It's fine. But when you start coming into the straight path, especially with reverse, this is why you have to be very careful with reverse. Because this is when Shaytan's going to attack you.
Oh, yeah.
You understand? Or, for example, coming out Ramadan, the Shaytan, the version of yourself that Shaytan knew and the new version he sees of you is going to surprise him.
Yes.
So he's going to be like, he's going to be even more upset.
Yeah.
He's going to come at you harder. So you have to be ready.
You have to be ready.
Ready for it. But,
such a good point. It's actually true, It's actually very, very true. Like I said, when I reverted, that's when I first saw true evil. And it's really interesting how the Shaytan he's a weird individual, isn't it? All the people he's already taken on the wrong path.
The first time I've heard someone call it weird.
Yeah, it is, because you think about it, yeah, he's gonna go to the people he's already, he's forsaken, whatever, he's taking them on the wrong path. Yeah. And so on the day of judgment, he's gonna be like, haha. Pretty much he's not gonna say that exactly, but essentially that's what he's gonna say. He's like, well done, you're coming with me now. He's already lost, he's hopeless, he's finished.
You know what's so powerful as well? And it links to what I was saying is, like, you're fighting your nafs.
Yes.
Because even though Shaytan is your enemy, he only calls you.
Yes.
It's you that does it. Mm-hmm. You understand? So ultimately it's you against yourself.
Yes.
You understand? Shaytan is just like a teammate of your nafs.
Yes.
But the real battle is against yourself.
Yes. That's actually so good. That's what I'm saying. Allah has blessed us in so many ways where He's given us the ability to be stronger than the Shaytan. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the Shaytan only calls, we have to answer it. And when you really start to internalize that, you start to realize that, look, it's up to me. Like, I have to make the decisions in my day-to-day life to ensure that I'm not the one who falls off the straight path. And that's what I'm saying about the analogy of this attack and defense. You have to really understand that, look, you're fighting someone. You're actually if you're up or your enemy came and was by you every single second, every single day, how would you think? You think very differently. And, sometimes I think to myself as well with the Shaytan, he's so relentless. He's not going to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to be there until the day you die. He will be there with you. So you have to be ready for this fight. This fight is not easy.
He was there the day you was born.
And he's going to...
until even the last moments when he died.
Yes.
I remember there was I feel so bad. I forgot the name of it was let me think. I don't remember. But I'll just tell you I'll tell you the story. Basically, there was a man who was on his deathbed. And, he's living his last moments. And he was saying, not yet, not yet. Not yet, not yet. He kept saying it, and then he would faint. And then he would wake up, and then he would just see something and would say, not yet, not yet. So his son would ask him, and his son was worried. He was like, why is he saying not yet? Is it like he's scared to die? Like he's saying not yet, like he doesn't want to leave the dunya. So he asked his father, he's like, Father, why are you saying not yet? And his father says, in my last moment, Shaytan was coming to me and saying, you know what? You've escaped me. He's like, you're free from me. He's like, you made it. Basically, you're going to die as a Muslim. You're fine now. Do you understand? So his father was responding to the Shaytan saying, not yet, not yet. He knew that until the moment he dies, it's not over.
SubhanAllah.
So Shaytan will come to you even in the last moments. Like you've lived your whole life as a Muslim. In the last moments, just to make you complacent and say, you know what? Yeah, I made it. He will come and even in those moments. So it's about having that firm belief.
Yes.
All the way through.
SubhanAllah.
And you have to think like that father, he had to have lived a righteous life.
Yes.
To be able to respond like that.
Yes.
Imagine he had something in his heart all that time where he was a bit arrogant. He was like, you know what? I'm going to make it Jannah anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have fell for that easily.
Yeah.
And Shaitan's traps are ruthless.
Yes.
Like, he comes with anything he can. No mercy. The guy's
so
dying.
true.
He's gone anyway.
Yeah.
And he's coming to him.
I find it even so crazy how, like, if you think of someone that you love very, very much, so for some people it's their mother, their father, their sister, whoever it is, and you think to yourself, if someone was to, you brought all your friends over to your house now, let's just say your mum is the person you love the most, so some people it's different, whatever, and all your friends are there with you, you brought your one friend who you thought was a good person, and that friend, in front of everyone, when your mum says, can you guys take off your shoes, says, shut up, who are you talking to, and doesn't listen, how would you feel and how would you treat that person? You would hate him so much. But essentially, that's what Iblis did. He was invited, all the angels came, they're in front of our creator, and Allah told him to bow down in front of Adam. And he didn't. He said, what? No. Imagine how you would feel if someone did that to your mum or whoever you love. You would treat him with so much anger.
You know what's so powerful about that as well? The fact that everyone done it except him.
Yes.
When everyone does something, it's easy for you to do it.
Yes.
Or when no one does something, it's easy for you not to do it. But he was that rebellious.
Yes.
And in front of all those angels, in front of Allah.
That's crazy.
He's truly an enemy.
He's truly an enemy.
SubhanAllah.
But yeah, I'll just say this. I hope, I pray that everyone, when they leave this month, now we've left this month of Ramadan, that... No, it's all good. I'll start again.
I'm still ill.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Go
on.
During Itikaf, I was so ill.
Mad.
So ill, especially like towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Just a mindset thing, actually. While I was ill, it's so easy to say, why me? Because I remember I missed one tarawih and I missed one day of fasting during Itikaf, and I remember just thoughts coming into my head thinking, why does it have to be me? Why is it, it was on this day, it was on that day. I was like, I should be doing my ibadah and I can't do it.
Right.
But then a brother, this is what I mean about having good companions. A brother came to me and he said, Ferhat, you're so lucky. And I said, why? And he was like, do you not see the way Allah's purifying your soul right now?
SubhanAllah.
That hit me so hard. And I was so happy. After he said that, I was so happy. I was like, that's so true. And it clearly means that whatever ibadah, whatever istighfar I was doing was not enough. And Allah, out of His mercy, would cause you to be sick so He can alleviate your sins for you.
SubhanAllah. It just goes to show why this religion is so beautiful. People look at sickness, especially non-Muslims, see sickness as like, oh no, no, that's horrible. That's out of order. But no, Allah's given provision that sickness is actually a blessing.
SubhanAllah. It's a way. It's His mercy.
SubhanAllah.
His mercy.
Allah said that, and it is a lot of people make dua saying, Allah, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Allah wanted you to be forgiven so much that He made you sick so that He can forgive you.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. It's too beautiful. This religion is too beautiful. Allah,
sometimes you think like, you're so glad that Allah is your Lord.
Yes. SubhanAllah.
You're so glad.
SubhanAllah. It's so true. When people hear, one thing is when you hear the word like Rabb, and then people talk about, in English, you can't even it's impossible to even fully encompass what that word really means in Arabic.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I hear that word Rabb, it's just like, it's such a beautiful word. And when you really start to understand what it means, you understand that Allah is just, there's nothing like Allah. I know I'm saying something that's so obvious to us as Muslims, but it's when you think about how much Allah loves us, and loves us more than how our mother would love us, and you think to yourself, wow, like, He doesn't want us to be forsaken. He doesn't want us to go to Jahannam.
Yeah.
He wants us to go to Jannah. And it really does start to make you realize that I want to do good for, not for you, because He doesn't need our ibadah, but you want to show Allah that I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the fact that you even made me a Muslim, you know, and it's just, it's beautiful. Honestly, it's so beautiful. And I was just going to say, you know, I hope, you know, I pray Allah makes us, the viewers as well, us, you know, amongst those people who learn from Ramadan, those who take the lessons from this podcast, hopefully, and that we can, you know, implement it into our life, that we see the Shaytan as a true enemy and we attack him and we don't just defend him. We make sure that he knows that we're not here to be messed around with. I mean,
that's so true. But yeah, should we wrap up there?
Yeah, we can wrap up there.
Discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jazakallah khair for listening. We're gonna have more coming, inshallah. We have some very, very good topics that we're excited about.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. Share it to your brothers and sisters. I'll ask Allah to put all the effort we put into this podcast, to put it on our scales on the day of judgment, to accept it from us, to keep our intentions pure. And anything incorrect in which we have said is from us and Shaytan, and Allah and His Messenger is both free from it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.